Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics pre-lockout chat ahead of round 13, the second of the mid-season buys. I'm your host, Bails, and you can find me at BailsDT across the socials. We're recording live on Friday, the 7th of June. Looking forward to another week of footy. But joining me, as always, is my fellow co-host and AFL Fantasy Fanatic, is Tim Guest. Tim, how are you?
Mate, I'm feeling a bit much better than I was at the beginning of the week, especially after, the news of Crouchy being out. It was, just one of those paper cuts too many for this old fantasy coach. But yeah, played with my trades. I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing. I feel like it's kind of brought back a bit of structure to my team, and I'm kind of, back on track for the rest of the buys. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, beautiful. No, we could have used Crouchy last night, that's for sure. It was not a.
We used Rob last night as well, mate.
Oh, mate. But we're going to bring in our special guests now. Here they are. It is the boys. It is the Ball Boys. Mitch and Luke, boys, how are we?
Good, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, mate.
It's good. Sorry we're running a bit late, Bales.
Oh, no, mate. No, it's fine. We're glad to have you on. First time we've had both you on since, I think it was opening round recap. So, been a minute since we've the four of us have recorded a pod, but good of you guys to join. It's unfortunate that we're doing on this sad day of when Richmond win and Crows lose. But
sad day, mate.
Well, I hadn't even thought about it, to be honest, Bales. But now that you bring it up, mate,
the tension in the stadium last night was it was bad. There was people saying get rid of Nicks, this, that, and the other, and I was just like, mate, Dawson went well and Dowling went well. Crows lost, but I walk out with a couple of positives. So
that's it, mate. Nice. Yeah, all good things for our fantasy team, except for Kane McAuliffe. But yeah, otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. But boys, how you guys looking ahead of round 13? Obviously, the second of the buys. A little bit easy this one. I think a lot of us will be able to field 22. There are a few coaches out there that got a lot of red dots and have maybe gone a little bit heavier, trying to sort of get the advantage, but maybe it's come back to bite them a tiny bit. They might only have 19 or 20. How are you guys looking for numbers this week? And I'll start. Yeah, Luke, go you first.
Yeah, I'm looking at this stage, looking like having the full complement, which is nice. I think that, there's still a few rookies on there, but I'm trying to kind of sneak. I've been calling it a double upgrade. I'm not sure whether it is, but I'm trying to sneak Fisher in and then also get LDU in as well. Just because with what happened with Flanders a couple of weeks ago and then having to go to Zorko, just put me one trade behind everyone else is how I sort of feel. So if I can sneak something that resembles a double upgrade this week, I could get myself back on track. But yeah, full complement this week.
Beautiful. Mitch?
I like both of those trades, Luke. They're pretty good, mate. I like the LDU pick as well.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, no, I'm looking all right. I'm a bit torn with my third trade. So I'm going in with basically 22 players playing this week. But what that also means is I've got essentially 17 or 18 premiums. And then I've also got Billy Dowling's 89 looped in there as well. So my third trade, I really don't know what to do with. I'm tossing up between doing a Zach Butters sideways move to an Errol Goulden because I've got 90k sitting there, so it's not much for me to do another upgrade or anything else with. So we'll sort of see how things go, and maybe if there's some players like McMullen named not as the sub, then I might do a Wilson to him and just pocket a shit ton of cash and maybe see if I can do a double upgrade next week. Or if some of these other premiums go shit like Dawson did last week, then I'll do a sideways and see if I can get 18 sort of 90-plus scores this week. But we'll see. It's an interesting round with obviously so many players playing and available.
Yeah, no, I love the Butters to Goulden trade. I just don't want you to do it so I can catch up to you. But no, I like the trade. It's a good one if you end up going down that path. Tim, how many numbers have you got this week, and what are you looking at with your trade plans?
So for me, I kicked off one of my trades last night with a downgrade from a Crouch to Billy Dowling. So that obviously put a bunch of cash in. And I'm pretty happy with obviously the 89 from Billy Dowling. And then for me, I got to fix up Jordan Sweet. So look, I was bringing in Brodie Grundy obviously when Conway was playing. I know that we got Stanley there now, but I think I'm going to hold fast and still bring Grundy in. I mean, Stanley's not exactly the worst ruck to go up against, but it's more about Grundy's run. And I think the thing that kind of really settled myself the other night was I really did a bit of a deep dive in terms of, okay, where on my field am I losing points? And definitely the place where I'm hurting the most at the moment is in the defensive line. But I can, there's not much I can do about that this week, considering probably the two guys that I'm missing are, Clark and Luke Ryan. So this is more about setting up my team for the rest of the year so that I can make those defensive trades next week. But yeah, so it's a Jordan Sweet to a Brody Grundy and then a Harley Reid to an LDU.
Yeah, no, I love it, mate. How many numbers have you got this week? You got the 22?
Yeah, so hang on, let me just. I think it may be 23 with a loop. Yeah, 23 with the loop. If I'm looping because I've got Hayden Young in the defensive line, and I'm going to loop a Closey and a Zach Williams.
Yeah, beautiful. I've got the 22. My current trade plans, I went Reed down to Dowling last night, and I very, very impressed. Not only his fantasy fan, but the Crows fan. I've been wanting Dowling's debut for a while, and he looked really good. Hey,
he'll hold. You would have thought, hey,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, he was one of our. I thought he was one of our best last night. Actually, I thought half the team could be dropped after that performance, and he was definitely not one of them. So I'd be definitely keeping him in. He looked good in that forward role. I was hoping to get a few CBAs, but still got the ball. I think he had one bad quarter, not the second quarter. But besides that, he was pretty good outside of that. And then my other two trades, I've tossed a few players up. At the moment, I've settled on Sharp out and Ollie Dempsey out with the tougher matchup against Sydney, going to a Zach Fisher for Dempsey, and then going a Jeremy Sharp all the way up to Dane Zorko. So a bit of a double upgrade there. Means that technically Fraser is my F6, but I've already got plans in place to fix him in round 15 and go him up to a defender. I'm looking at someone like a Ridley or someone like that, or someone around the 800k mark, or even a forward like a Caldwell or something with a good run for Eston. So a few plans in place there. I've got keeping Bonner. If he's a sub, I'll keep Sharp or a Dempsey and trade him. And depending on how everything goes, I might keep Sharp if I don't need the 22nd player. So that's what I'm currently looking at. We'll move into, we have got the expert on here. The big boys. Mate, do you want to go through Chris? Go through your top 10. Go through your top 10. You can put the glass on if you want. I know that's special to the Bull Boys pod, but mate, we thought we'd get you on here as well and get your expertise for the captains this week, mate.
It's
I'll just duck out.
Well, I'll hear your ego. The old Sonny's on. No, so the big boys. I did a bit of a deep dive this weekend because I feel like the trades are pretty straightforward. So without me mulling over my trades every second, every day, I had to fill the time something else, obviously, and I wasn't doing any extra work. So, no, the big boys. I've gone the two ruckmen at the top there, Max Gawn number 1 and Roll Marshall number 2. Both have easier matchups with a couple of the guys that make their matchups a bit harder out, with Gawn going up against Darcy Cameron. So I think he's going to go big against him in the big freeze game. I've got Flanders at 3. I think he's got every chance to drop a huge score. There's been, I think I counted before, 8 120-plus scores against St Kilda from that halfback role. Even someone like a Jason Johannesson scored a 126 against them. So Flanders has every chance to go big. So I'm going to chase a ceiling score with him as my VC. To round out the top 10, I've got Heaney at 4, Dacos 5, Errol Goulden at 6. I like all those 3 options there. Heaney's got the slight flag of a Blitzarves tag or attention there. So I like him as a VC, less so as like a straight captain score. Just because Geelong is so easy to score against if you aren't tagged. And this is where Errol could be another also sneaky VC option as well. So if attention does go to either him or a Warner, Errol could really rack it up there. Nick Dacos, he's got a good matchup against Melbourne. We obviously saw a lot of big scores against Melbourne last week, and Dacos can definitely feast on that. But he plays in the same game as Max Gawn, so I think a lot of us will probably go for Max instead. Dawson had 7 last night. He was a solid option. You take in the 124 in my eyes. Then I've got the Brizzy boys tonight. If you're going to go a Brizzy boy, I've got Zorko over Dunkley just for the ceiling factor. I just feel like this week we want to really chase those ceiling scores in the bye rounds. That's going to really what separates a lot of the teams is those ceilings. So I'd be chasing Zorko, and then Sam Walsh rounds out the top 10 just because he's a gun and he hasn't really set too much of a foot wrong.
Yeah, beautiful. And you'll be going Walsh into Gawn? Is that what I heard that's what you're saying on the pod?
Flanders into Gawn.
What did I say?
Walsh, but no, he's number 10.
No, what idiot.
Right, Flanders is
I
gonna
should
be
just
my
be
guy.
sacked as a host. I just can't listen, mate.
No, once I get a hold of his laptop, mate, he might be going Walsh into goal.
You're my assistant coach, mate. What's going on? Where was that?
Sorry,
scoring?
yeah, sabotage.
Yeah. Luke, I know you say you're always a slave to the big boys, mate. Are you going very similar?
Yeah, I'll just go the same, Bales. The one time I went against the big boys, I lost points, so I'm just going to be a slave to the big boys for the rest of the year.
Yeah, beautiful. Tim, what are you looking at doing with your captain and vice captain?
Yes, I'm vice captaining Flanders into Dacos, being that I don't have a max score.
Yeah. No, Max Gorn, Tim's favorite player this year. I'm looking. I've been really torn. I'm bringing Zorko in. I want to VC him, but then I look at Flanders matchup. But then I've got Marshall as well, and I'm not trying to boast I've got these players. I'm just saying that
all of them.
I'm trying. And like the Marshall one tempts me a lot because I feel like Flanders could just have a 30 touch and 120, but I feel like Marshall go 160. So like I'm sort of torn with those two, and then Zorko tonight. I'll probably go one the two guys, then I'll go into a Gorn later. So I'll probably make that decision. But yeah, I'm a bit torn on that one at the moment. So
this matchup was the matchup that Rowan Marshall had 107 at 3/4 time against Ned Moyle last year. Unfortunately, he did get subbed in that game, but I think this season Saints don't have that luxury. So yeah, it could be big.
Yeah, and last week could have been big as well. He just gave away 6 free kicks. So if you stop giving away free kicks all the time, he'd actually be scoring well. So yeah, be a tough one. But boys, is there any sort of talking points that you sort of, well, Mitch, actually, one thing I probably wanted to sort of get your thoughts on probably agreement with you is you've been saying you're steadfast on, you're not looking at any premiums that are coming off that are not, that have got a buy coming up. So you guys like Crisp, Day, round 14, round 15 players, you're just looking at round 12 players. And I'm probably in agreement. I'm in agreement with that as well. Trying to maximize points. You just want to speak sort of a bit on that for people that maybe is sort of new to the buys or sort of are looking at maybe considering a Crisp or a Day or someone that caliber?
Yeah, look, I think we want to get cute, right? Like sometimes it feels like, you know, that the content creation out there or the podcast is a bit of a what are the coaches panel call it? Like there's an echo chamber or something like that out there, and we're all sort of preaching the same groupthink. That's what they call it. And sometimes you want to go against that because you're trying to get a leg up on the competition. But I think this is one of those situations where it is really as simple as it seems. You get the guy in who's played or had their bye already. Over the next 3 rounds, they're going to play 3 games. Every other team that hasn't had their bye is going to play 2. So if a player comes in and even if he, underperforms and scores 100, a premium that scores 100 over 3 rounds, if you're going to get someone in who has 2 games, they're going to have to average 150 to equal the same amount of points of that player that you bring in with 3 games to go. So it really is just the weight of numbers, just having that extra game compared to these other guys just makes it a much more valuable trade because those premiums you're getting them in to score to get the points. So versus a rookie's a little bit different. You want to get a rookie in to make you a bit of cash. So that's why sort of a Billy Dowling was fine to get in last night. But if you're spending the cash, you want that scoring back. And that's just going to happen when you have an extra game on the ground. So I think to me, it really is just that simple. And then you could look at those guys after their bye rounds.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with that. I think the only one I ever half considered was a Jack Crisp just because of how well he's going. But as you say, you're getting one less game out of him than what you are getting sort of any play. Even if you've got like a Lockie Neal or an LDU, as you say, they're going to score more points. Or Crisp has got to average 150 for 3 weeks, which is very unlikely. So, yeah, no, I'm in agreement with that as well. So I like that. Is there any other sort of talking points you boys want to talk about before we get into some questions at all that you want to touch on?
No, not really.
Yeah, not from me. I'm happy to just answer some questions, I reckon. Yeah,
it's pretty simple week. I think the talking points are all pretty straightforward this week. So let's hear some questions.
It's all simple in the top 100, hey?
Tim, any?
Nothing for me, mate. Let's roll some questions.
Beautiful. Let's get started. The question. If you guys are tuning in live on YouTube or Twitter, put your questions in the live chat of either of the platforms, and we'll get to as many questions as we can before we finish. We'll have to finish at. I think Tim said, 5 p.m. sharp for him. So we'll have to make sure because he's got to head over to the Camfield. So if you are in Perth,
that's a talking point.
Yep. If you, Tim, you want to let the people know what's happening at the Camfield tonight?
No, just look. I haven't been down the Camfield for the last few weeks. There's been a few events, like international soccer and Friday night games of footy and all that kind of stuff. So Back on tonight. We've got a couple of tables reserved down at the Camfield. Come and sit in front of the big screen. It's nice and warm, and get some good food in you while we watch some footy.
Yeah, beautiful. No, get around it. I'll definitely be down there if I was over in Adelaide as well. So, sorry, over in Perth. God, I'm mixing up my words today. It's unbelievable. Anyway, we'll get into some questions. So Vanessa Valentine has got the first question, and I'll go to the highest ranked coach out of all of us at the moment, which is Mitch. She's got the question here saying, "Hey guys, would you trade Sullivan instead of Harley Reid to get Billy Dowling's score? I still have 22 players on field and would trade Reid next week. Was planning on trading Sullivan next week anyway. I don't have any players to loop Dowling on in the forward line. So would you be happy to move a Sullivan to take that 89 and hold a Harley Reid, or would you want to still trade Harley Reid regardless?"
Oh, geez. Okay.
If you could still get 22, you'd entertain that, wouldn't you?
So Collingwood obviously play
Monday.
So it's one that you could maybe wait and see what other scores you have from some of the players that are close to your 18 and see.
Oh, Harley Reid plays the middle game on the Saturday, so you have to make that.
You decide between those two, yeah. Okay. Look, I probably would. I probably would. That's an 89. That's going to more than likely count towards your best 18, unless you do have 18 premiums on your field, which some people might. So just double check that's not the case. But I do think it's a score that you're going to want to have on your field. So if you're going to trade Lockie Sullivan next week anyway, then I think it's okay.
Yep, agreed. And the second part of the question, I've got to Luke for this one. And who would you trade first out of Jack McRae and Darcy Wilson? And if trading a premium, who goes first, to Butters or Brayshaw? So we'll go to the first one. So McRae or Wilson, who goes first for you?
Jack McRae is going to win the Coleman from here, right? He kicks 2 goals every game.
False. I could kick the Coleman if win the Coleman if the ball fell in my hands like McRae did. To be honest, I think I'd actually trade Jack McRae. I don't know whether that's like a violent reaction to if I owned him, I'd be so pissed off that I owned him that I would still trade him. Who do the Saints have this weekend?
Saints have got Gold Coast.
Gold Coast. Oh, look, maybe I'll renege on that. Maybe McRae has the slightly higher ceiling. If all the stars align for McRae, let's trade Wilson first. We'll keep McRae. I'll go with my convictions, but you can see I'm conflicted.
Yeah, that was very frustrating. Last week watching that Collingwood Bulldogs game in person and just seeing Jack McRae, I was sitting with my cousin watching the game. I was absolutely cursing McRae then. I'm like, yeah, don't do this for me, mate. Thanks very much for that bloody head tilt. And then the second one, Butters or Brayshaw. If you had to trade one, who goes first for you?
Well, that's a tough one, I reckon.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be Brayshaw.
Butters got 138 break even. Brayshaw 113.
Brayshaw's only had a couple of those 140s this year. He hasn't really set the world on fire.
Here's my argument, right? So I think the reason why Butters has been going so poorly lately is because of Rosie's been out of the team and he's been getting a lot of attention. So the situation's about to change for Butters with Rosie coming back in. Whereas I don't really see things changing for Brayshaw. So I think, what we're getting from Brayshaw is probably what we're going to continue to get for the rest of the year, whereas Butters is likely to improve.
Yeah. Butters goes into GWS, then the Lions. Brayshaw into Bulldogs and Suns. Does that factor in any way for either of you?
I think Butters' role's probably a bit more secure, I think, because Brayshaw hasn't been playing those full complement of CBAs. And they've got...
Yeah, he's been rolling a bit more on the outside.
He's been a frustrating.
He played a bit of wing.
His floor is way higher, but, he hasn't dropped below 90 in, 5 weeks? Whereas Butters does have those tendency to score 70s every now and again.
I think I'm still taking Butters. I'll ditch Brayshaw first.
I just like the upside. I just don't see the upside with Brayshaw as much.
I think that's a coin toss to me. Whichever player you like watching more.
And that's a good point as well. If you like Butters more, then trade Brayshaw, or vice versa, trade Butters if you like Brayshaw more. So
that's why I traded Zorko a couple of weeks ago. I just love watching that bloke play. It's my rock.
As much as you like the tambourines and everything like that, that was quite funny as well at the end of that.
Fruit? Is it a mountain? Is it an instrument? I don't know.
Tangerine, mate.
Riley Curry's got this question, so we'll go to Mitch because it's the VC captain question. He said, "Who's the VC captain this week out of Zorko, Goulden, Dacos, Flanders. Oh, here we go. The glasses on.
Oh, it's Flanders. It's Flanders. I want to read out some scores against the Saints from halfbackers. Where have I got my notes here? So players who have played halfback versus the Saints, you've had so far. Christian Salem went 133. Jason fucking Johannesson scored a 126. Like, just let that sink in for a second.
Just turn your brightness up.
Bailey Dale scored a 160. Whitfield 120. Luke Ryan 126. Jordan Clark 141. Nick Martin 145. Those are all scores against Saints, and it's under the roof this week as well. So I just think that there's a huge ceiling there for a player like Flanders, who's as thirsty as they come. So I think, yeah, he's going to be trying to make up for lost time after having that sick game. So, yeah, for me, he's number 3 on the big boys, and I think the ceiling is there just based on, look, if JJ can score 126 against the Saints, Flanders could be anything, I reckon.
Yeah. To silence the question fully, to VC captain, like sort of the duo, who would you be going Flanders VC into a Dacos, or would you be going VC Zorko into Flanders, or VC Flanders into Gordon? What do you?
I think I'd want a VC Flanders, I reckon. So I want a VC Flanders and go into a Dacos. I think Dacos, like his role against the Demons. The thing about the Demons, they don't tag. Like they're happy to let you do, happy to let Luke Ryan chip it around 17, 18 times. So Dacos is going to have free reign to do whatever he wants. So I think he's probably, of all of those guys, the safest, 110 plus score. So have a bite at a ceiling score with a Flanders first, I reckon, and then roll into a Dacos who feels the safest to me would be how I'd play.
No, I agree. And then that answers Matt's question as well. He was saying Zorko VC into Flanders or Flanders VC into Gorn. And yeah, obviously you VC Flanders into Gorn. Tom Kenny's got this question. Tim, would you trade McRae or Butters to field Dowling's 89? Banking cash next week to bring in Luke Ryan. So I think you'd trade McRae, aren't you, the two?
Yeah, I mean, especially with what I was just saying before about Butters.
Oh, no, yeah. So I was obviously saying, do you take Dowling's 89 and trade Butters, or trade McRae and not get Dowling's 89, I guess is what they're probably saying. But I think you still trade McRae anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Between
the two. But, yeah, I'll be getting rid of McRae. You got to get rid of McRae.
I've never owned him, and I still feel passionately about that. So, yeah. McRae.
There you go. Power Prawn Star, Dowling, the new primo. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's very, very good last night. Juice says, how's everybody's opinion on Zorko going? Any inkling or signs that's putting you off/on him? So I know, Mitch, you were saying you're looking at bringing him in next week. Can't ask Luke because he's already got the man, so he can sit back and relax. But Mitch, so you're obviously looking at getting him next week. You're still comfortable paying. I guess comfortable is probably a strong word with a guy like Zorko, but you're sort of happy enough to pay the $1 million to bring him in next week?
I think so. There's always a flag with someone like Zorko, but we're at the point of the season now where you want the best in the line, and he is clearly one of the best in his line. I still think that he's not going to be someone that we just be comfortable with, because I think especially if Brisbane's season starts to go south and they start to lose a few more games and they're not going to be in touch with the finals, it doesn't really serve much of a purpose for them to have Zorko just racking up pill down the back there. We've seen it with teams like even North Melbourne, and they're sort of right down the bottom there when Azebel, starts to get subs and things like that, and they prioritize players like Sheasel and stuff getting the ball. So I think for right now, short term, they're still probably going to be trying to win these games and salvage their season as best they can. But I just want to flag that, maybe back half of the final stretch of the year, he might be someone that we just have the trigger finger ready on for. But over these bye rounds and sort of coming out of the byes, I think we're definitely going to want to have him. And next week with the Saints matchup, I do think it's a really good target.
Yeah. Tim, as someone that also might be looking at a guy like Zorko, what are your thoughts with him?
Oh, yeah, definitely looking to bring him in. The only thing that I've been considering across this bye rounds is I'm still trying to maximize value. In the hope that through one of the 4 bye rounds, I can, rather than, you're normally looking at 2 downgrades, 1 upgrade, and hoping that I can turn one of those into a double upgrade. So I mean, I'm still going for those value options, which is why I'm, I guess fading Zorko for as long as I possibly can. But I think by the end of the bye round, you've got to have him.
Yeah, and Jeppa made a good point as well on the +6 pod, saying that if your team's in a position where you got the cash to do these upgrades and sort of not break your team, and you can still upgrade your side, these are the weeks with the 3 trades where you can get as much cash as possible and bring in the guys like a Dane Zorko, like a Luke Ryan. If you're looking for like a Marshall or an English in the ruck, you've got enough money, or hopefully you do, with the 2 trades down and then 1 up to bring these guys in. But obviously, if you've got a few rookies, I know a few people have had bullets and have got maybe still 2-3 spots of rookies to fix on their field, then yeah, you're still looking for value as well. So
the only other thing I'd say about it, Bales, is that like I love my F1, right? And I kind of think about it a little bit like my F1. Like I'm actually kind of staying out as long as I can, hoping for a safety car, like avoiding Dane Zorko for as long as I can, hoping that he pings a calf, and I don't even need to worry about getting him. But yeah, by the end of the buy round, you got to have it.
I like that analogy. Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of good analogies, and that was a good one, Tim. So yeah, tick of approval. That was a good one. I like that one.
Yes.
Liam, friend of the podcast, obviously from Free Kick, saying sitting with the cash to upgrade Bonner to Goulden, Dunkley, or Zorko. Would love to know the consensus best upgrade out of those 3 are. So go around the room. So Luke, who would you be getting out of Goulden, Dunkley, and Zorko if you could pick one?
Dunkley for the rest of the season. So I think Zorko, the appeal is obviously the line that he's on, in my opinion. And if he continues doing what he does, then he's probably the best of the 3 options, isn't he? Because of the line that he's on. But with the clouds, the flags hanging over his head, so to speak. Goulden, I think that guy's the thirstiest gangster in the world. So if he's playing there's
a guy called Luke Ryan.
He was so thirsty. But I think the problem with him is the role he's playing, that like exclusive wing role at the moment, probably just puts a cap on his points. But I think for me, if I was going to say anyone, it would be Dunkley to have in the team for the rest of the season.
Mitch?
I think I'd go Errol this week. I think Errol and Dunkley are pretty close to me, but I agree that I think Dunkley's going to average more for the rest of the year, but I think I want that instant reward, and just that slightly cheaper price just breaks the tiebreaker for me. So I'd probably go Errol, Dunkley, Zorko in that order.
Yeah. Tim?
Yeah, I think I'd back that up. Once I just talked about value, right? Goulden's the cheapest out of all of them. So I would have been going Goulden this week if I could have brought him in over a LDU, but I think I'm like $8,000 short or something like that.
Yeah.
So another reason for me to keep hunting value.
Yeah. If you've got the cash to facilitate it, I think Zorko for me still the guy, just with the lack of forwards. I think Goulden's 2 and Dunkley's 3, but by no means am I saying Dunkley's a bad option. I want all 3 at some point. I just feel with Goulden, it's just a matter of time, I think, before we see a few of these big ceiling scores. We haven't seen a score over 130 this year from him, which is sort of based on last year, very unlike him. I think with Warner stepping up and Heaney stepping up, that's probably why he hasn't had those ceiling scores. But I feel like teams are going to start putting a bit more attention into a Warner. Heaney's still going to do his thing, so hopefully Goulden can get amongst some big scores moving forward.
I was just going to ask Guesty. Guesty, when you were tossing up LDU this week, did you entertain Lockie Neal at all? Was it just
I did. Maybe one of my flaws as being a fantasy coach is I tend to be a little bit too optimistic, and I think once again a little bit like we were talking about before with who are we comparing? Butters and that's right, Brayshaw.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I lost my train of thought. Who are we talking about?
Lockie Neal versus
Lockie Neal. Yeah. Sorry, I don't see much changing with Lockie Neal. Whereas what I'm kind of hoping for is now that Sheasel is playing more midfield time, it's kind of freeing up LDU and he's getting a little bit less attention. And I also just think it's sometimes these players need a mate, to be able to kind of, give the ball back and forth to. And, we saw it with Newcomb a little bit this year as well. Like without Will Day in the side, he just absolutely, really struggled. So kind of hoping he's got a bit more help around him, and he kind of starts hitting those straps that we've always kind of hoped. I mean, I was on him last year and, he went well until obviously he got injured. Maybe he can hit those straps again.
The only thing that and I'm trading in LDU this week as well, Guessy. So we'll see how it goes. The only thing that concerns me when I look at the stat line is like the only thing sort of differentiating him in the last 2 weeks compared to those like substandard weeks is just the marks. So like he's averaging probably about 3 marks on the season leading up to 2 weeks ago, and then he goes 7 marks, 5 marks, and that kind of just like tips him over. So the thing that I kind of rest my hand on a little bit is like, well, his last score, 114, was against Port Adelaide as well. We know that's a tough matchup. So going into West Coast and Collingwood, I kind of think like, well, maybe there's an argument to make that, yeah, he can maintain that 5 or 6 marks. And like, I said on the podcast before, if it's a 2-week play, it's not the worst thing in the world. If we get 100 out of him for 2 weeks and then he's one of the first guys that goes in luxury season, then I don't feel awful about it.
Yeah, it was. I think the other thing for me, it was probably one of the few good midfielders I could get to, and once again, it was kind of like once I broke down my different positions and where I was bleeding the most points on the ground, it wasn't so much in the midfield. So to bring in a guy that's kind of going 100, I'm only losing maybe 10 points or 15 points or something along those lines. Whereas it's the other areas where I'm really getting hurt.
Beautiful. What do we got? There's a fair bit of beef in the chat. There's actually not. I'm trying to get through the questions, but there's a lot of people beefing. Guys, relax in the chat. Guys.
Everyone's bored. There's not much to do this week. That's what it is. It's feel like a soccer game. That's why they write, right? Everyone's bored.
The Brawl Boys.
Brawl Boys. Oh no,
the Brawl Boys.
No, well, the people loving the VC captain questions here. Josh Lofts, Bont VC to Heaney or Dacos. Who was higher on your list there, Mitch?
Dacos was Heaney was the highest on that one, but I think I like Heaney more as a VC. Bonts,
so you go
I can't even read on Bonts, man. Like, I didn't see that 159 last week coming. I mean, he's gone. Who have they got? They got obviously Lions tonight. Lions
Libba's back though, which could help.
But they do give up a lot of tackles.
Bond hates a tackle, except for last week.
Well, he loves a tackle. So he could get amongst that. Dunkley's probably going to stand next to him, I reckon. So for that reason, I think he just lowers his ceiling down a little bit. So I'd probably avoid the VC and Bonds and maybe chase one of those other guys.
You probably end up eating your words too.
Yeah, he's probably going to go 160. What do I know? I don't know.
I hope so. As someone that's owned him all year, I hope he does. Yeah. Gavin O'Reilly's got a good question here. How many at this stage are you guys fielding in the next 2 weeks? So does you might not. I'll give you probably guys a bit of time to sort of if you've got it there. But I think from memory, I think I had 21 in round 14 and 15. But that's obviously with the ruck being out round 14 and 15. So I'll give you guys a sec to.
Yeah, I should have at least 21 in the next couple of weeks. My hardest round was last week, was round 12 when I only had 19. And
still scored more than me. Far out.
Yeah. Mate, it's just trading good play.
Brag.
But no, I think 21 next week with Max out, and then I've got the 3 mids in Steele, Bont, and who's the other guy? Dawson out in round 15. So I'll have
same, yeah. Yeah, I'm
shocked.
So
I have 21 in round 14, and then I'm currently at 19 for round 15.
Yeah, cool. With a few trades, you'll be able to get that number up there as well,
yeah.
Luke.
Yeah, I think I'll be able to sneak 21 next week, and then round 15 is a little bit far away. So, but I think a bit of wheeling and dealing, I think I might be able to get 20.
Hey, look, I did want to say, mate, you're having a pretty fucking good year.
Well, this is the problem, Guesty. The problem is right here because
the problem.
I'm having a half decent year.
I'm carrying you on my back.
You're doing well. But I'm having a half decent year, and every time I have to come and sit next to Mr. 29 over here or whatever it is. So,
yeah, bloody hell.
By comparison, it's like it's a big dick swinging contest over here, and
mate, inside the top 8 on the Content Creators Cup.
Well, I wasn't there last year, so I must be doing something right. I might even play finals this year. We'll see.
Mate, I don't have a segment called The Big Boys for nothing.
Mate, in front of Mini Monk and Statesman.
That to be fair, like Mini Monk and Statesman, they've had some rough things go against them, especially Mini Monk. We're looking at his team.
I feel bad with. I think he had the
Jordan Sweet.
He traded
Marshall out. Yeah,
he traded in Bonner in round 2. And then had the shit score, and then traded out Bonner after that, and then he's gone. And then he's also done the sweet in and then sweet out.
It goes. I mean, it goes.
he traded Marshall. He traded Marshall out to Sweet, and then he went to 160, 170. So yeah,
that's enough.
Yeah.
I'd
delete.
Fair enough.
I'd delete team. Yeah.
But
Well,
Mark's smart because he's got like a ball in every court,
Oh,
doesn't he? So he's like, the fantasy team's going, shit, I'll park that and scoot across. So smart man.
Sean actually said was that about move from 170 in Bolter to 64th in 2 weeks was first for the week and then 19th. But I was going to say as well, I'm surprised Mitch hasn't slid into a podcast as well. But yeah, you're currently 4th, mate. So
keeping a lid on it.
I actually make the trades in that team. So
yeah, it's the ball boys. It's not Mitchmond. It's going pretty well. It'll be interesting to see how the second half of the year goes out with that one because I don't know about you, Bails, but I'm just full luxury trading at this stage.
Yeah, same, yeah.
With the 3 trades for the entire season, I think we're all going to have pretty similar teams. So I reckon it'll be hard to catch up ground. I'm still 200 bloody points behind or something like that behind the first place player. So we'll see. But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, no, it's been good. No, shout out to Selby and Rose Magic for making that happen as well. Zeke Upfold says Sheasel and Goulden or LDU and Zorko, Tim. So which combo are you going? Sheasel and Goulden or LDU and Zorko?
I think this once again. I think it's tough, but I'm leaning to the first 2 because I think there you're probably getting 2. Like you're getting, I mean, Sheasel's probably on the edge of the top 6, right? So whether he's 6 or 7 as a defender, and then I mean, Goulden, I think as we were talking before, I think he's kind of cemented inside that kind of top 8 mids. Whereas Zorko, you're probably potentially overpaying or paying full price, and then LDU, we don't really know where he's going to sit. So I would probably lean towards option 1.
Yeah, I think I agree as well. Chris Gow, Mitch and Luke answered my question over at Ball Boys RE getting Zorko Errol. I'm still undecided. If I get his Zorko, I'll VC him tonight, or I'll get in Errol and VC Heaney into Dacos.
It tends to be a characteristic of people who ask us questions. We just leave them up to. It's probably best not to ask us a question. I would say that's the smart move. You'd just be left with
no. As we decided on Tuesday night, it's often, while we may not ever get to an answer in our discussions, it's our discussions that will enlighten stuff for our listeners and enable them to make a choice that they feel comfortable with.
That's well put, Guesty. I'm going to run with that
one. Probably for you guys, we very often is talking about tambourines and tangerines and shit like that. So
that's why they're confused.
Probably not as enlightening.
You can't trade him in.
That's funny. I love that. Matt, missed out on Dowling this week. Can I jump on Revel and get Dowling next week? Yeah, Matt, 100%. Yeah, I'd be doing that. You can. I think Revel's a bit expensive, but if
you still got the money to do what you want on the other end.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at a McMullen if he's not sub.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe you can pivot to a Leakalia or an Angwin if they're not the sub, and maybe just go one of the Giants boys. But I'll probably do that actually because Revel's probably about the same price as Angwin almost now, so I'd probably do that instead. Damo Joe's captain on Goulden 170 plus, please. Yeah, mate, I'd love that. 100%. Let's go. Hopefully we get that.
You might still be doing that.
On who? Zorko.
You might still be getting in Goulden.
Oh, yeah. I might be. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
The man of mystery.
Pavlich's booming right boot says, everyone says don't break your team. What's that actually mean? Just means that you don't sort of trade out premiums and mid prices all the way down to rookies and field bad rookies and just bring in top price players. It means try and get 22 players on field of premiums, and then you can start upgrading. So it's like not bringing in Ryan and Zorko and then having bad rookies on the field. It means sort of just having your team sort of spread evenly across. So
I would explain it as
there you go.
Making a short-sighted decision, like making a decision that's only, considering this week rather than the next couple of weeks to come or the rest of the season.
Exactly. If you're trading out someone that you had no plans of trading out, but you've only just decided because you have to get this other guy in, then that's breaking your team.
Yeah. Dylan Alexander liked the safety car reference. So he said it was perfect. Beautiful. No, I love that. Centrist Aussie has got this one here, Luke. Zorko or Fisher? Have Goulden in already this week as well. I'm chasing points and halfbacks against Eagles. Don't tend to score as well. So are you paying up for Zorko or are you saving the cash and getting in Fisher?
No, I'm taking the fish. If you don't have the fish, I'm taking the fish, and I'll have a week to look at Zorko. And another reason I say that is because I would imagine that that's going to unlock a whole world of possibilities for this person next week, a la
Luke Ryan,
thirsty sponge Luke Ryan. So that's where my head's at.
His break even's 41. Like, he's going to shoot up in price again.
Bro, he's absorbent and yellow and porous as heck.
I love hearing that. It's great. Just but the flashbacks to SpongeBob, love it. But Tim, actually, I was going to ask you about the sort of any weather update. I heard it was a bit wet in Perth this week, and people say it's going to be raining tomorrow, which is something I was going to ask about. Fisher, is what's the weather update over there?
Yeah, look, it has been a bit overcast and a bit damp. It hasn't been. Well, it was raining yesterday, but not. And what are we looking at? It says tomorrow. What have we got tomorrow?
Fish do well in the water.
Oh, look, apparently we've got a increasing chance of showers tomorrow evening, but that's after the game. So, no, I actually think it's going to be pretty clear for the game by the look of this.
Yeah, beautiful. What we love to hear.
13% of showers. So, yeah, not much chance.
Yeah. Lachlan Moore, trade. So Mitch, trade in Zorko or Tom Green and have cash in the bank to go Ryan and Clark next week. The one thing I would say with Tom Green, I haven't heard anyone say this about Tom Green, is that he doesn't have a good recent history against Hawthorn. He got a 69 against them last year, and then he got 100 after he had a good start. Connor Nash matched up quite well against Tom Green, but sort of just in the case that, would you be saving the cash for next week to get a Luke Ryan or a Jordan Clark, or are you paying up for Zorko?
I'm going Tom Green. I think the value is just stupidly. We can't ignore it. Like, he's. Like, think about what kind of discussions we were having about Tom Green at the start of the season, and where he's priced at now. This is where, like, the price tag where I'm sort of match up, throughout the window. I reckon he's just at too much of a value. Price at 88. Like, he could easily whack on 20 to 30 points on any given week on that. So, I'm Tom Green, and then give yourself another week for Zorko, who's also got a high break even, so it could get cheaper. So that's where I'd probably go.
I own Tom Green as well, so I got skin in the game. But, like, is Tom Green going to be that guy? Like, 3 weeks of effective garbage.
I think so. I think there's a way you can explain every one of those poor scores away. And he led the league in disposals last year. So he kind of strikes me, I've said this before, he strikes me as like a Sam Walsh sort of type, where he's going to get enough of the ball that it's going to give you a safe floor kind of level. And then whether or not he collects those marks or gets the tackles, that's going to unlock his ceiling.
Hawthorn, Port Sydney.
They're okay matchup. I mean, Hawthorn have been actually, like, you take away the Nash matchup, but they've been leaking points. They've been better recently.
Adelaide to follow. Carlton to follow that.
Yeah. It's not the greatest matchup.
I'm in agreement. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Well, I would say what's changed from preseason? Like, okay, he's had a bit of a bad run. GWS haven't played that well recently. He injured his ankle, but it's not like there's been major role changes or anything along those lines. It's not like there's been personnel changes.
Cogs is gone. Kelly's out right now. Like, maybe that is maybe it's the Zach Butters thing. A bit more attention.
Yeah.
Those guys
I still like Tom Green as an option as well. As you guys said, there's reasons for why he was scoring a little bit poor. We'll go 2 more questions because I know the boys have got to head off. So we've got the final 2. So actually, for fun enough, the real Harley Reid said, "Would you VC Zorko or Marston to Gorn?" Marston to Gorn is what the big boys say. So we listen to the big boys and we go Marston to Gorn. So final 2 questions. We will go with. We'll go with Adam. Adam's question here, Tim. Would you bring in Green or Zorko? So a little bit what we were saying before. That's the exact same question as before. Having right money for Ryan. Okay, scrap that question. We answered it before. We'll go to this question from Matt. Getting Zorko, Fisher, and Revel in for Bonner, Reid, and Dempsey with 250k in the bank for next week. So, Tim, you happy with those trades? Bonner, Reid, and Dempsey to Zorko, Fish, and Revel?
Yeah, 100%. I was just trying to think about whether you could use the 250k better. But I just don't think you can get a better trade-in target than Zach Fisher this week. And then, you could try and find better value than Zork, but you got so much cash, why wouldn't you spend up? So, yeah, I tick all that off. Why are we looking at getting in Revel? That's another question. Why? That's the second person that's considered bringing Revel in this week, right?
Probably with the round 12 bye, he'll probably looking to play through the buys. He hasn't been a sub, I guess. That's probably why. But I'd probably rather just go for one. I'd rather go for like an Aaliyah maybe or something like that. That's probably what I'd do. But tough one with those rookies. Paulie D, Heaney or Zorko this week, Luke?
I'm probably Heaney if you don't have Heaney. Zorko perhaps has the higher ceiling, but all the flags are still there. So I'd go Heaney if I didn't have him.
Yep. And final one, JLM, Mitch, who's more important, Zorko this week or Luke Ryan, the sponge, next week?
Zorko this week. I really want Zorko for that matchup against the Saints next week. So if it has to be this week, I'd be going Zorko now, bypassing Luke Ryan. And I think just comparing the players in their line as well, Zorko's outscoring those forwards more than Luke Ryan's scoring the backman.
But Luke Ryan, you watched that game all the weekend.
He's good. Surely teams can't let them do that. Oh, I don't know. I still go Zorko just with the Saints coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I agree. But Luke Ryan does have a very nice run until I think round 22 or something. Got some nice fixtures besides maybe one. So, but yeah, no, both you need both your team by the end of the year anyway, I think. So, but yeah, boys, I think we'll wrap up there. Tim's got to head off to the Campfield and the boys got to head off as well. But boys, always a pleasure having you boys jump on. One thing I'll shout out before we sort of go around the rooms and sign everyone off is if we didn't get to your questions on here, both myself and Mitch, go to Mitch because he's the high rank coach, but askmeonq.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics for my handle. And then I believe yours is /Ballboys. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yep. So no, make sure you guys, if you want to support our channels and get in-depth answers to all your team-dependent questions, get sent straight to your inbox, an audio response, and you can sort of get that information for yourself and can help beat your mates in terms of ranking or league matchups and can help you with that. And even draft. I got a draft one the other day as well. So draft people can also send their questions through. So if you want to get around that, then feel free. But Luke and Mitch, thank you very much for coming on. Where can the boys and listeners find you guys across the socials?
Where are we on the socials, mate? I don't tweet anything, but if you want to follow a ghost account at LukeRojo17 on Twitter, if you want to hear every thought that comes into Mitch's head, that's Ball Boys. Is it Ball Boys Fantasy or is it?
At Ball Boys Fantasy. Yeah, at least half of them are good thoughts.
They're good. We sit there and watch the footy together, and I just look over. Oh, he's tweeting again. I wonder what he's tweeting about now.
Hey, boys, where are you up to in terms of subscribers for the channel?
Oh, we are, I think, 2,750, I think. There.
How many people we got on, Bails?
So if we get people subscribing that aren't subscribed already, that will get us to
Come on.
So
yeah,
let's
got one.
get that target.
Yeah, we've got 121 tuning in on YouTube at the moment.
So we need 242 people hitting that.
Get across and subscribe to the Ball Boys. Support the boys. They're awesome.
Yeah, make sure you get over and subscribe there.
Love you guys as well. We appreciate you having us on. So
thank you very much. And one here, Baden Cummins Green, who is actually the coach of Bandits of Barbados, who's currently top couple, saying, love the chats, podcast listener, but try to catch the live when I can. So thanks, mate. Very much appreciated there. Peter, can you drop a link in here for the Q&A site? Link's in the description of the video. So that just have to click that. It's literally at the top of the description. So make sure you hit it up there. Tim, any final thoughts before we let everyone go?
Looking forward to a rum.
Let's go.
And that's a good one. And we'll finish off there. And you can find him at Tim Guest AU, and you can find me at Bails DT. If you are watching on YouTube, smash a thumbs up on the video. If we get 100 likes on this one, hit that. If we can hit that goal, make sure we get that done. Subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on the pod, 5-star rating review, be very much appreciated.
If we get 100 likes, Bails will do the next podcast naked.
Beautiful.
Let's do it. Signing checks.
Where do I do that? How do I get that?
I was going to say it's got to be at least, but I'm not even going to put that out because then people are just going to share and it's going to happen. So, yeah, no. I got watch along tomorrow night as well for the St Kilda Gold Coast game. If you guys want to tune for that one, it's a very, very fancy, relevant game. Looking forward to that one. So if you guys haven't got anything to do on a Saturday night, like myself, because I don't have a life, make sure you tune in to the watch songs. Watch the players score fantasy points and chat some fantasy. So thanks, guys. We'll catch you on Monday for our round review with the King's birthday game a little bit later on that one. We'll let people know when we're going live. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Good luck this week, and we'll catch you guys then. So we're out. See ya.
See ya.